I inherited a $2.3 million lake mansion from my grandfather. When I showed up with the keys, a blonde woman in designer athleisure answered my door. She laughed in my face. "This is my property now. Leave before I call the cops." Her name was Jennifer Caldwell, HOA president. For 4 years, she'd been renting out my inheritance on Airbnb, pocketing over $400,000 that should have been mine. When I fought back, she flipped the script, had me arrested. She'd bribed judges, controlled the sheriff, owned the entire town. Everyone told me I'd lose, that she was untouchable. Then I found her list. 8 other families. Same scam. Millions stolen. What I did next put her in federal prison for 12 years. But the war nearly destroyed me first. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, because what happened in that small Montana town is a warning for every community in America. The cemetery sat on a hillside overlooking Montana's Crystal Lake. Pine trees swayed in the September wind. My grandfather's casket gleamed under gray clouds. I stood there in a borrowed black suit, numb. 43 people showed up. Most of them I'd never met. The funeral ended. People scattered to their trucks. That's when the lawyer approached. His name was Gerald. Silver hair. Expensive briefcase. He handed me a manila envelope with my name written in Grandpa's shaky handwriting. "Your grandfather left specific instructions," Gerald said. "You're the sole beneficiary of his estate." I nodded. Expected maybe some savings. A few $1,000s. Grandpa lived modestly his whole life. Gerald's face was unreadable. "There's a property. A lake house. 6 bedrooms. Direct waterfront on Crystal Lake. Current market value approximately $2.3 million. The world tilted. "What lake house?" Gerald handed me keys. Heavy brass. Old-fashioned. "The address is in the envelope. Your grandfather purchased it in 1987. He wanted you to have it." My hands shook holding those keys. I'm 32 years old. I'm a structural engineer in Seattle making $78,000 a year. I live in a studio apartment with water stains on the ceiling. And I just inherited a multi-million-dollar mansion. I drove 8 hours straight. Seattle to rural Montana. Highway 2 through endless pine forests. Mountains rising like cathedral walls. The late afternoon sun painted everything gold and crimson. Crystal Lake appeared around a bend. My breath caught. The water was impossibly blue. Glass smooth. Snow-capped peaks reflected perfectly on the surface. Massive log homes dotted the shoreline. This was wealth I'd only seen in magazines. I followed the GPS down a private road, gravel crunching under my tires. Then I saw it. The mansion. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Cedar and stone construction. Wraparound deck jutting over the water. A boat dock with a covered slip. Gardens with late-season flowers still blooming. It looked like something from Architectural Digest. This was mine. I pulled into the circular driveway, turned off the engine, sat there in silence, trying to process that all of this, belonged to me now. Then I noticed the Mercedes. Black. Brand new. Parked near the garage. Lights were on inside the house. My stomach tightened. I grabbed the keys and walked to the front door. Beautiful carved wood. A wreath hung on it. Fresh pine and red berries. Someone was maintaining this place. Before I could insert the key, the door swung open. A woman stood there. Late 40s. Blonde hair pulled back tight. Designer athleisure. Those expensive Lululemon pants. A fitted jacket. Perfectly manicured nails. Cold blue eyes that looked at me like I was something she'd scraped off her shoe. "Can I help you?" Her voice dripped with disdain. I cleared my throat. I'm the owner. This house was left to me. My grandfather." She laughed. Actually laughed. It was a cruel sound. Sharp and dismissive. "This is my property," she said. Each word clipped. Precise. "I'm Jennifer Caldwell. I'm the president of the Crystal Lake Estates Homeowners Association. I've been managing this home for 4 years. I don't know who you think you are, but you need to leave. Now, before I call the police." The keys felt heavy in my hand. Managing it. What does that mean? Her smile was ice. "It means this house was abandoned. Your grandfather was in a nursing home. Someone had to take responsibility. That someone was me. So unless you have legal documentation proving otherwise, you're trespassing." She started closing the door. "Wait." The door slammed in my face. I stood there, locked out of my own inheritance, my heart hammering against my ribs. Who the hell was this woman? What had she done? And why did she think she could just take what was mine? My phone barely had signal. I walked down to the lake, hands shaking, and called Gerald. It went to voicemail. I left a frantic message. Called again. Nothing. I looked back at the mansion. Jennifer was visible through the windows, moving around inside. Casual. Comfortable. Like she owned the place. Rage built in my chest. I drove into town. Small mountain community. One main street. Hardware store. Coffee shop. A single stoplight. The county building sat at the end. Brick. American flag snapping in the wind. The records office smelled like old paper and burnt coffee. A clerk with tired eyes looked up from her computer. I need property records, I said. 1447, Lakeshore Drive. She typed. Frowned. Typed more. That's the Whitmore property. Now managed by, she stopped. Looked at me. Are you family? I inherited it. From Robert Whitmore. My grandfather. Her expression shifted. Something like pity crossed her face. She printed documents without another word. I took them to a table by the window, hands trembling as I read. Rental agreements. Dozens of them. All signed by Jennifer Caldwell, property manager. My mansion, my property, had been listed on Airbnb and VRBO for 4 years. Premium lakefront vacation rental. $2,800 per week during summer. $1,800 off-season. I did the math in my head. 52 weeks. For years. Even accounting for vacancies. Over $400,000. $400,000 in rental income from MY property. The page blurred. I blinked hard. Kept reading. There were more documents. Legal filings. Jennifer had submitted paperwork claiming abandoned property management under some Montana statute I'd never heard of. She'd filed notices, paid property taxes from the rental income, created a paper trail that made her look like some kind of good Samaritan maintaining an abandoned estate. But it wasn't abandoned. It was owned. By my grandfather. And now by me. The clerk was watching me. You okay? She's been stealing from me. The clerk's voice dropped to a whisper. Jennifer Caldwell? I nodded. She glanced toward the door. Leaned in. Be careful. She's connected. Her brother-in-law is the district attorney. She sits on the planning commission. She's untouchable around here. Those words hit like a fist. Untouchable. I drove back to the mansion. Jennifer was outside now, talking to a landscaping crew. She saw my truck and her face hardened. I got out. Walked straight up to her. The landscapers went quiet. You've been renting out my house, I said, voice shaking with controlled fury. For 4 years. Collecting my money. Jennifer's smile was poison. Prove it. Good luck evicting me. I know every judge in this county. You're nobody here. Some outsider who thinks he can waltz in and take what I've built. She stepped closer. Voice dropping. I run this lake. I decide who stays and who goes. And you? You're going. She turned her back on me. Walked toward the house. Dismissed me like I was nothing. Like I didn't matter. The landscapers wouldn't make eye contact. I stood there in the driveway. September sun warm on my face. Lake sparkling behind the mansion. And I made a decision. This woman had stolen from my dying grandfather. She'd stolen from me. She thought she was untouchable. I was going to prove her wrong. I was going to war. And I wasn't stopping until she lost everything. I rented a cabin across the lake. Small. Drafty. $70 a night. The owner asked no questions when I paid cash for a week up front. The cabin had a clear view of my mansion. I bought binoculars from the hardware store. Set up by the window. Started watching. Day 1. Jennifer's Mercedes left at 7 in the morning. Returned at noon. A couple checked in around 3, Texas plates, pulling a boat trailer. They unloaded luggage like they were on vacation. On MY property. Day 2. Different guests. California plates. A family with 2 kids. They swam off MY dock. Used MY kayaks. Jennifer collected an envelope from them personally. Cash payment. I watched through the binoculars as she counted bills. Day 3. Jennifer drove to the country club at 10. Stayed until 2. Had lunch on the terrace. Laughed with friends. Living like royalty off stolen money. I documented everything. Photos. License plates. Guest arrivals and departures. I built a timeline. Then I called an attorney in Missoula. 2 hours away. Outside her sphere of influence. His name was Marcus Webb. Former prosecutor. His website said he specialized in property fraud. We met at a diner off Highway 93. Marcus was mid-50s. Sharp eyes. Wore a suit that had seen better days, but still commanded respect. I showed him everything. The will. The rental records. My documentation. Marcus leaned back. Exhaled slowly. This is fraud. Criminal fraud. But here's the problem. She's got possession. Montana adverse possession laws are complicated. If someone occupies property openly for 5 years, pays taxes, maintains it, they can claim ownership. She's at 4 years. My blood went cold. So she's 1 year away from stealing my house legally? If we don't stop her, and we need to prove she acted in bad faith, that she knew she didn't own it. An idea formed. Risky. Maybe stupid. What if I get her to claim ownership in writing? Marcus raised an eyebrow. How? That night, I created a fake email account. Generic name. Professional signature. I posed as a potential long-term renter from California looking for a 6-month winter lease. I sent Jennifer a message through her vacation rental listing. She responded in 43 minutes. Property available December through May. $5,000 per month. I'm the owner. Can provide lease agreement this week. Prefer bank transfer or cashier's check. There it was. In writing. She'd just claimed ownership in a legally documented contract negotiation. I forwarded it to Marcus. He called immediately. That's fraud. Textbook fraud. She can't lease property she doesn't own while claiming to be the owner. We file emergency motions tomorrow. I felt a surge of hope. First real hope in days. But then I heard engines. I was still at the cabin. Binoculars on the windowsill. It was past midnight. I looked out. Sheriff's vehicles. 3 of them. Lights off. Moving slowly down the road toward the mansion. My heart raced. Had someone finally caught her? I grabbed my camera. Zoomed in. Jennifer stood on the mansion's front porch. Arms crossed. She was pointing. Not at the mansion. Across the lake. At my cabin. The sheriff's vehicles turned. Headed toward me. I watched in disbelief as their headlights cut through the darkness. Coming closer. She wasn't being arrested. She'd called them on me. And I was about to find out exactly how much power she had in this town. 2 deputies knocked. Hard, authoritative knocks that made the cabin door rattle. I opened it. Tried to look calm. My heart was a war drum. The first deputy was older. Gray mustache. Name tag read Harrison. The second was younger. Late 20s. Name tag, Morrison. Harrison spoke first. Sir, we've received a harassment complaint. Stalking. From Ms. Jennifer Caldwell. She says you've been watching her property with binoculars. Making threats. Following her. The words didn't make sense at first. Then they hit like a truck. She was flipping the script. Making me the criminal. That's insane, I said. Kept my voice level. I'm the legal owner of that property. She's squatting in my house. Renting it out. Stealing rental income. Morrison's expression shifted. Interested. You own 1447 Lakeshore? I grabbed my folder. Showed them the will. The deed transfer. The inheritance documents. Everything. Morrison read carefully. Nodded slowly. Sir, this appears to be a civil property dispute. We can't intervene in ownership disagreements. You'll need to take it to court. Harrison didn't look convinced. Why are you staying across the lake watching her? Because she won't let me into my own house. I'm documenting the illegal rental activity. Harrison's face hardened. That sounds like stalking. It's my property. Not according to her, Harrison said. And right now, she's got possession. That gives her rights as an occupant. Jennifer appeared behind them. Materialized like a ghost. She wore a silk robe. Hair down. She looked vulnerable. Scared. It was an act. A perfect act. Officers, I want a restraining order, she said. Voice trembling. This man shows up claiming he owns my home. He's been watching me day and night. I'm afraid for my safety. My fists clenched. Every muscle screaming to defend myself. But I forced calm. Check the county records, I said to Morrison. Right now? Pull up the deed. Morrison pulled out his phone. Typed. Waited. His expression confirmed it. Ma'am, records show Robert Whitmore as the previous owner. Deed transferred to this man upon death. He is the legal owner. Jennifer's vulnerable mask cracked. Just for a second. Then she recovered. Those records are being disputed by my attorney. I'm filing an adverse possession claim. Until a judge rules, I have legal rights as a long-term occupant. And he's harassing me. Harrison looked between us. This is above our pay grade. Take it to court. Both of you. And sir, he pointed at me. Stop watching her property. I don't care what you own. Right now, it looks like stalking. Do it again, I'll arrest you. They left. Jennifer and I stood there, 15 feet apart. The only sound was whined through pine trees. Her vulnerability vanished completely. The mask fell away. What remained was cold. Calculating. You're going to lose, she said quietly. I've done this before. Twice. I know exactly how to work the system. You're just some outsider with a piece of paper. She stepped closer. I've got judges, lawyers. The sheriff donates to my charity foundation. You've got nothing. And by the time you figure that out, you'll be bankrupt from legal fees. She smiled. I always win. Then she walked back to the mansion. My mansion. I stood there in the darkness. Cabin door opened behind me. Cold wind cutting through my shirt. And that phrase echoed in my head, looped over and over. I've done this before. Twice. How many people had she destroyed? How many families had she stolen from? And how the hell was I supposed to stop her? I didn't sleep. Couldn't. I sat at the cabin's small table with my laptop and decades of county records pulled from the Montana property database. If she'd done this before, there had to be evidence. I searched every property transfer in the county for the last 10 years. Cross-referenced Jennifer's name. Looked for patterns. 3 a.m. Eyes burning. 6 cups of bad coffee. Then I found it. Another Crystal Lake property. Smaller cabin. Owner, Thomas Brennan. Died at age 74. No immediate family listed. 6 months after his death, Jennifer filed abandoned property management paperwork. Same language she'd used for my grandfather's estate. She managed it for 2 years. Then she filed adverse possession. She won. The property sold 14 months later for $615,000. Buyer, Mountain Vista, LLC. I searched Mountain Vista, LLC. Registered agent, Jennifer Caldwell. She'd stolen the property, then sold it to herself through a shell company. Kept every penny. My hands shook on the keyboard. I found another one. 2017, different owner. Same pattern. Elderly man. Nursing home. Death. Jennifer's management claim. Adverse possession. Sale. She was a predator, circling dying property owners like a vulture. I found a phone number for Thomas Brennan's son, David, listed in Idaho. I called at 7 a.m. He answered on the 4th ring. Groggy. Who is this? My name's Alex. I need to talk to you about Jennifer Caldwell. Silence. Long enough I thought he'd hung up. Then, that woman destroyed my family. David's voice went hollow as he talked. His father had been in memory care. The cabin sat empty. Jennifer offered to manage it. Pay taxes. Maintain it. She seemed helpful. Generous even. 2 years later, David tried to sell the cabin. That's when he discovered Jennifer had filed adverse possession. She claimed ownership. The legal battle lasted 8 months. Cost David $40,000 in attorney fees. He lost. Jennifer got the cabin. Sold it immediately. David never saw a cent. She's connected, David said. The judge who ruled against me plays golf with her every Wednesday. The DA wouldn't touch the case. Said it was civil, not criminal. She's got this whole county in her pocket. My throat tightened. She's doing it to me right now. Then get out, David said. Seriously. Walk away. She'll bleed you dry and you'll still lose. I can't. This was my grandfather's house. David sighed. Then you need Susan. Who? Susan Morales. She was a paralegal at the county assessor's office. 3 years ago, she tried to expose Jennifer. Gathered evidence. Went to the authorities. They buried it. Susan lost her job. Got audited by the IRS. Her husband's business license got mysteriously revoked. They destroyed her for asking questions. He gave me Susan's number. She still has files. Everything she collected. She's been waiting for someone to fight back. But be careful. Jennifer's dangerous when she feels threatened. I called Susan immediately. She answered like she'd been expecting me. You're the guy with the Whitmore property. How did you know? Small town. Word travels. Meet me tomorrow. Highway 200. Mile marker 47. There's a diner. Come alone. The line went dead. I stared at my phone. Heart racing. Jennifer had done this before. Multiple times. She had a system. Protection. Power. But she'd made enemies. And now those enemies were reaching out to me. I looked across the lake at the mansion. Morning sun hitting the windows, making them glow like fire. Tomorrow, I'd meet Susan. Tomorrow, I'd learn just how deep Jennifer's corruption ran. And tomorrow, I'd start building a case that could finally bring her down. The diner sat alone on Highway 200. Faded paint. Gravel parking lot. 2 pickups and a semi outside. I arrived 15 minutes early. Ordered coffee. Sat in a booth facing the door. Susan walked in at exactly 2 p.m. Late 50s. Gray-streaked black hair pulled into a bun. Sharp eyes behind wireframe glasses. She carried a locked briefcase. Handcuffed to her wrist. She slid into the booth across from me. Didn't order anything. You're being followed, she said. My blood went cold. What? White Chevy Tahoe. Parked at the gas station 2 miles back. Been tailing you since you left Crystal Lake. Jennifer's people. I started to turn. Don't look, Susan snapped. Just listen. We have 20 minutes. Maybe less. She unlocked the briefcase with a small key from her pocket. Opened it. Inside were file folders. Thick ones. Tabbed. Organized. Susan pulled them out one by one. Jennifer Caldwell has been running this scam for 8 years, she said. 5 properties that I can prove. Probably more I couldn't document. Total estimated theft, $3.2 million. She showed me the files. Property records. Forged signatures. Rental income ledgers. Bank statements showing deposits into Jennifer's personal accounts and 3 different LLCs she controlled. How did you get all this? I worked for the county. Had access. I started noticing patterns. Elderly owners dying. Properties sitting empty. Then Jennifer's management claims appearing. Then adverse possession filings. It was too consistent to be coincidence. Susan's voice tightened. I went to the sheriff. He told me to mind my own business. I went to the DA, her brother-in-law. He said insufficient evidence. I went to the state attorney general. They sent my complaint back to the local DA. Full circle. She pulled out a flash drive. Set it on the table. This is everything. Email trails showing she knew the properties weren't abandoned. She targeted them. Waited for owners to die or become incapacitated. Shell company documents proving she funneled money through fake LLCs. Bank records showing the deposits. And this, she pulled out a handwritten list. Names of 7 local officials she's paid off, including 2 judges. I stared at the flash drive. It was smaller than my thumb, and it contained enough evidence to destroy Jennifer's entire operation. Why didn't you use this? Susan's face darkened. I tried. The day after I went to the AG, I got fired. Budget cuts, they said. 2 weeks later, the IRS audited me. Found nothing, but it cost me $8,000 in accounting fees. Then my husband's electrician license got suspended for permit violations that never existed. We almost lost our house. She leaned forward. Jennifer has power. Real power. Local courts won't touch her. You need federal. FBI. Make this bigger than she can control. How? Wire fraud. She used email and electronic transfers across state lines. That's federal jurisdiction. RICO conspiracy if you can prove the pattern. You need to get this to a federal prosecutor. My mind raced. That takes months. She could disappear. Hide assets. Susan's eyes glinted. Then you force her hand. Make her panic. Do something she can't ignore. Like what? Susan slid the flash drive across the table. That's your decision. But whatever you do, move fast. She knows you're digging now, and she's not going to wait around for you to build a case. Outside, an engine started. The white Tahoe pulled onto the highway, drove slowly past the diner. Tinted windows. I couldn't see inside. Susan stood. They saw us. You need to leave. Different route. Don't go back to the cabin tonight. Where do I go? Anywhere but here. And watch your back. She walked out, got into a Honda, drove west. I sat there with the flash drive. Evidence of years of fraud, corruption, theft, and a decision forming in my mind. I couldn't wait for federal investigators. Couldn't wait for the system. I needed to act now. I needed to get inside that mansion. My mansion. I needed to catch Jennifer red-handed, even if it meant breaking in. 2 a.m. Jennifer's Mercedes was gone. I'd been watching through binoculars. She left at 11 for some charity event at the country club. Posted photos on Facebook. She'd be there until at least 2. I had a window. I drove around the lake. Parked a quarter mile away. Walked through pine trees. The moon was nearly full. Everything looked silver and black. I reached the mansion. My heart hammered so hard I could hear it. I used my keys. The legal keys. This was in my house. The door opened silently. I stepped inside. The interior took my breath away. Hardwood floors gleaming. Vaulted ceilings. A stone fireplace that reached 20 feet high. Leather furniture. Expensive art on the walls. None of this was here when Grandpa owned it. She'd remodeled. Using MY rental income. I moved through the great room. Kitchen. Granite counters. Wolf appliances. Everything pristine. I headed upstairs. Found the office. Door locked. I pulled out a credit card. Slid it between the door and frame. The latch popped. Something I'd learned as an engineer. Most residential locks are easy to bypass. Inside, filing cabinets. A mahogany desk. Computer. Wall of bookshelves. This was her command center. I started photographing. Rental agreements where she listed herself as owner. Forged signatures that looked like my grandfather's. Close, but the pen pressure was wrong. Bank statements showing deposits. $387,455 over 4 years. Then I found the filing cabinet marked properties. Inside were folders. 8 of them. Each one a different address. Different elderly owner. Same pattern. Management claims. Adverse possession filings. Sale documents. The last folder made me stop breathing. A handwritten list. In Jennifer's neat script. Property addresses. Owner names. Ages. Status. 2 properties had red check marks. Completed. 6 had black check marks. Including mine. In progress. 2 had blue circles. Targets. She was shopping for her next victims while still stealing from me. I photographed everything. Uploaded files to the cloud from my phone. Then I heard it. The garage door. Opening. My entire body went rigid. She wasn't supposed to be back for hours. I checked my phone. Her Facebook showed a post from 12 minutes ago. Still at the country club. Someone else was here. Footsteps downstairs. Heels clicking on hardwood. Jennifer's voice. On the phone. Getting closer. No, the engineer is becoming a problem. I need Judge Hartman to fast-track the possession ruling. I don't care what it costs. Use the campaign fund if you have to. She was bribing a judge. Right now? On a recorded phone call. I needed to capture this. I pulled out my phone. Started recording audio. Jennifer continued. He's been talking to Susan Morales. That's a problem. We shut her down once. We can do it again. My blood turned to ice. They deliberately destroyed Susan. Jennifer's footsteps moved toward the stairs. Coming up. I was trapped in the office. 2nd floor. 1 exit. I closed the filing cabinet as quietly as possible. Moved toward the door. A floorboard creaked under my weight. The phone conversation stopped. Hello. Jennifer's voice. Sharp. Alert. Who's there? I could hear her at the bottom of the stairs now. I was 3 feet from the office door. 5 feet from the back staircase that led to the kitchen. The lights flipped on. Jennifer stood at the top of the main stairs. Still in her charity event dress. Diamond necklace catching the light. For 3 seconds we just stared at each other. Then she saw the open office door behind me. Her face transformed. Shocked to rage in an instant. You broke into my house. I held up my keys. My house. I'm the legal owner. She pulled out her phone. You're trespassing. I'm calling 911 right now. I held up my phone. Go ahead. I've got recordings of you bribing judges. Photos of forged documents. Evidence of 8 different properties you've stolen. Her face went white. All the color drained out. For the first time since I met her, I saw real fear in her eyes. You recorded me? Her voice shook. That's illegal. Montana requires 2-party consent. I smiled. Actually smiled. Montana's a 1-party consent state. I can record any conversation I'm part of. And you just confessed to bribery, fraud, and conspiracy. She lowered her phone. Her expression changed. Fear melting into something calculating. We can work this out, she said. Voice softer now. Almost pleading. I'll split the rental income. 50/50ths. You walk away with $200,000 right now. Cash. Nobody gets hurt. Nobody goes to jail. I couldn't believe she thought I'd negotiate. You stole from my dying grandfather. You've destroyed 8 families. You're done. Her face twisted. Fear turning to pure hatred. She lunged at me. Nails going for my phone. We struggled. She was stronger than she looked. Fought like a cornered animal. Her nails raked across my face. Drew blood. I shoved her back. Ran for the stairs. Behind me. I'll destroy you. You'll never win. I own this town. I was down the stairs. Through the kitchen. Out the back door. My truck was a 1/4 mile away through dark woods. I ran. Branches whipping my face. Lungs burning. I reached the truck. Fumbled with keys. Engine roared to life. I pulled onto the road. In my rearview mirror, the mansion blazed with lights. Jennifer stood in the driveway. Phone pressed to her ear. Then I saw headlights ahead. 2 trucks. Blocking the road. I had nowhere to go. The trucks ahead were massive. F-350s. Light bars on top. Crystal Lake HOA logos on the doors. Jennifer's security team. Good old boys who thought they were protecting their neighborhood. I threw my truck in reverse. Tires screaming. Fishtailed around a turn. Their engines roared to life. Headlights flooded my mirrors. They were following. My phone rang. Marcus. My attorney. I answered on speaker. I'm in trouble. Where are you? Running from Jennifer's people. I got the evidence. She caught me. Marcus's voice was urgent. Get to Missoula. Now. I've got a federal prosecutor waiting. We file emergency injunctions at 9 a.m. The trucks were gaining. They knew these mountain roads. Every curve. Every shortcut. I didn't. I took a turn too fast. My truck skidded. Gravel spraying. I almost lost control. Almost went into the ditch. Heart in my throat. Hands white-knuckled on the wheel. Pine trees whipped past. Headlights cutting through darkness. Then I saw it. A Forest Service road. Narrow. Barely 2 lanes. Overgrown. I cut hard left. Branches scraped my windows. Loud screeching. The road was rough. Washboard gravel. My truck bounced violently. But the big F-350s couldn't follow. Too narrow. Too rough. I heard their engines idling on the main road. Voices shouting. I killed my headlights. Sat in complete darkness. Engine running. Ready to bolt. 20 minutes passed. Felt like hours. Finally, their engines faded. Driving away. I waited another 10 minutes. Then crept back out to the main road. Took the long way around the lake. Back roads. No headlights until I hit Highway 93. I drove straight to Missoula. Didn't stop. 2 hours through mountain darkness. Arrived at Marcus's office at 5 a.m. He was waiting. Coffee already made. Office lights blazing. Let's see what you got. I showed him everything. The photos. The recordings. The property files. The list of targets. Marcus's grin grew with each image. This is beautiful. Federal wire fraud. RICO conspiracy. She used electronic transfers across state lines. That's FBI jurisdiction. He started making calls. Even at 5 in the morning. By 7 a.m., we had a meeting scheduled with an assistant U.S. attorney. By 8 a.m., we were in a federal building. Conference room. 3 prosecutors reviewing my evidence. They asked questions for 2 hours. Took copies of everything. The lead prosecutor, a woman named Sarah Chun, finally leaned back. We've got enough for warrants. Wire fraud. Conspiracy. Money laundering. We'll coordinate with FBI field office in Helena. I felt relief flood through me. Finally. Justice. Then Marcus's phone buzzed. His face went pale. What? He showed me the screen. Emergency court filing. Jennifer's attorney had filed a protective order, claiming I'd assaulted her during a break-in, claiming I'd threatened her life. There was a warrant out for my arrest. Sarah looked at the filing. This is retaliation. Clear as day. But until it's dismissed, you're technically wanted. My relief evaporated. What do I do? Stay here. In Missoula. Don't go back to Crystal Lake. We'll get the warrant dismissed. But it takes time. I couldn't go home. Couldn't claim my property. Couldn't do anything. Jennifer had one more card to play. And she'd played it perfectly. That night, she went nuclear. Posted on every local Facebook group. Photos of her face with scratches. My scratches from our struggle. Her post. I was violently attacked tonight by a man claiming to own my home. He broke in. Threatened me. I'm filing charges. Please be alert. This man is dangerous. Within an hour, 1,000 shares. People calling me a predator. A con artist. A violent criminal. Death threats flooded my email. The entire community turned against me. I sat in a cheap Missoula motel, watching my reputation burn online. Jennifer had the advantage. The home field. The connections. And I had nothing but evidence that couldn't be used until the legal system decided to move. I was losing, and she knew it. 3 days in the motel. Marcus filed motions to dismiss the warrant. But Montana courts moved slow. Glacially slow. Meanwhile, Jennifer's PR campaign was working. Local news picked up the story. HOA president attacked by property claimant. They interviewed her. She cried on camera. Showed her scratches. Played the victim perfectly. Nobody interviewed me. I was the outsider. The villain. The man who'd attacked a pillar of the community. My phone buzzed constantly. Messages from old friends asking if I'd really done it. My mom called from Arizona, terrified. I watched my character assassination happen in real time. Then Susan called. You need to fight back. Tell your story. How? Nobody will listen. Make them listen. Go public. Full transparency. I thought about it. Marcus advised against it. Could hurt the federal case. But I was already destroyed. What did I have to lose? I set up my phone in that dingy motel room. Harsh fluorescent light overhead. Bags under my eyes. 3 days of stubble. I looked like hell. But I looked honest. I started recording. My name is Alex Morrison. 3 weeks ago, I inherited a $2.3 million mansion from my grandfather. When I showed up to claim it, Jennifer Caldwell was living there. She's been squatting in my house for 4 years, renting it out on Airbnb, collecting over $400,000 of MY money. I showed documents, blurred enough to be legal, clear enough to be damning. She's not just doing this to me. She's done it to 8 other families, elderly property owners. She waits until they die or go into nursing homes. Then she claims their properties. She's stolen over $3 million. I showed the property list, names redacted, but the pattern clear. When I tried to stop her, she had me arrested, called me the criminal. She has connections. Judges, the DA, the sheriff. She owns this town. My voice cracked, real emotion breaking through. I'm not a violent person. I'm an engineer. I just want my grandfather's house back. But she's destroyed my reputation, turned an entire community against me. Because that's what she does. She's done it before. I looked directly into the camera. If this can happen in a small Montana town, it can happen anywhere. Check your elderly neighbors. Check your parents' properties. Because people like Jennifer are predators. And they're counting on you to stay silent. I uploaded it to YouTube, Reddit, Facebook, Twitter. Title: HOA president stole my inheritance and called me the criminal. Within 6 hours, 50,000 views. By morning, 200,000. Comments flooded in. People sharing similar stories. Property theft, HOA corruption, elder abuse. News stations started calling. Real journalists, not local fluff pieces. Someone found Jennifer's shell company records, posted them publicly. Someone else found the properties she'd sold, connected the dots. The tide was turning. A woman in Bozeman posted, Jennifer Caldwell did this to my mother. Same scam. We lost a $400,000 cabin. A man in Kalispell. She tried this with my uncle's property. We fought back. She backed off, but she threatened us. More victims coming forward. 7, 9, 12. It was a wildfire. Jennifer's carefully built reputation was crumbling. But she wasn't done. She went on local news that evening. Channel 8. Prime time. Tears streaming down her face. Voice shaking. I'm a single woman being terrorized by a man who thinks he can bully me out of my home. He broke in. He attacked me. And now he's spreading lies online to justify his violence. The anchor, a young woman, sympathetic, asked, Do you have proof of ownership? Jennifer hesitated, just for a second. But it was there. On camera. That flicker of doubt. My attorney has advised me not to discuss ongoing litigation. The anchor pressed, but county records show Alex Morrison as the legal owner. Jennifer's mask cracked. Those records are being disputed. On what grounds? Jennifer's face flushed. I've managed that property for 4 years. I have rights. Adverse possession rights. There it was. She'd just admitted she didn't own it. On camera. The clip went viral immediately. Jennifer Caldwell admits she doesn't own disputed property. By midnight, 500,000 views. The narrative had shifted. I wasn't the villain anymore. She was. And the FBI was watching. Day 7. My phone rang at 6 a.m. Unknown number. I answered. Mr. Morrison? This is Special Agent Torres. FBI. We need to meet. My heart stopped. Am I being arrested? No, sir. We have questions about Jennifer Caldwell. They met me at a coffee shop in Missoula. 2 agents. Torres and a woman named Kim. Suits. Serious faces. Torres slid a folder across the table. We've been building a case against Ms. Caldwell for 18 months. Financial crimes. Your viral video pushed it to priority status. And your evidence, he tapped the folder, filled in gaps we couldn't close. I could barely breathe. You've been investigating her? Since 2023. After Susan Morales filed a complaint with our Helena office. Local authorities ignored it. We didn't. Susan had gone federal 18 months ago, and nobody told me. Agent Kim spoke. We've documented wire fraud across state lines. She used Airbnb, VRBO, and PayPal for transactions. That's federal jurisdiction. We've also got RICO conspiracy. She operated with several local officials. We're bringing them all down. Torres continued. We're executing raids today. Her residence, office, bank accounts. We'll freeze assets. And we need you to testify before a grand jury next week. What about the local warrant? Already dismissed. Federal prosecutor's office handled it this morning. You're clear. Relief hit like a wave. I couldn't speak. We're going to arrest her today, Torres said. Thought you'd want to know. They left. I sat there with cold coffee, shaking. 12 hours later, every news station in Montana covered it. FBI raid on Crystal Lake. I watched it live. News helicopter footage. Black SUVs surrounding my mansion. Agents in windbreakers. FBI in yellow letters. Jennifer being let out in handcuffs. She was screaming at cameras. Face red. Mascara running. This is a witch hunt. I'm innocent. That man is a liar. But the evidence told a different story. Agents carried out boxes. Computers. Filing cabinets. They seized her Mercedes. Her boat. Froze her bank accounts. $2.7 million in assets. Traced back to stolen properties. The DA, her brother-in-law, was placed under investigation for obstruction. Judge Hartman, the one she'd bribed, recused himself from all her cases. Under federal scrutiny, the whole corrupt system was exposed. I drove back to Crystal Lake that evening. Federal agent escort. They'd cleared me to enter my property. Crime scene tape crossed the driveway. But it was mine again. I walked through the mansion. Empty now. Evidence seized. But the bones were there. Hardwood floors. Stone fireplace. Floor-to-ceiling windows. I stepped onto the deck. Sunset painted the mountains gold and purple. The lake was glass. Perfect reflection. I broke down. Actually cried. For Grandpa. For the years stolen. For almost losing everything. But also relief. Overwhelming relief. Marcus called. Jennifer's pleading not guilty. Trial in 6 months. But the evidence is overwhelming. She's done. I asked the question I'd been afraid to voice. What about the other victims? Marcus paused. They're filing civil suits. Using your evidence. You started something, Alex. Something bigger than one property. You exposed an entire system. I stood there as the sun set, watching darkness creep across the water. Jennifer had thought she was untouchable. She'd stolen from 8 families. Destroyed lives. Built an empire on fraud. But she made one mistake. She picked a fight with someone who refused to quit. Someone who documented everything. Someone who went public when the system failed. And now she was facing 12 years in federal prison. Justice was slow, but it was coming. 6 months later. Federal courthouse in Helena. January. Snow falling outside. I sat in the witness gallery. Pressed suit. Hands folded. Watching the trial unfold. Jennifer's defense was desperate. They tried everything. Claimed she'd legitimately managed the properties. That adverse possession was legal. That she'd believed she had rights. But the prosecution was surgical. They showed the forged signatures. Expert analysis proved they weren't my grandfather's handwriting. They showed email trails. Jennifer discussing, targeting properties of elderly owners. They showed the shell companies. Money laundering through 3 different LLCs. They showed the bribery. Campaign donations to Judge Hartman timed perfectly with her court filings. And they showed the pattern. 8 properties. Same methods. Over $3 million stolen. When I testified, Jennifer stared at me with pure hatred. Eyes burning across the courtroom. I told them everything. The inheritance. The confrontation. The rental income. The break-in. The evidence I'd found. Her attorney tried to rattle me on cross-examination. Mr. Morrison, isn't it true you broke into Ms. Caldwell's residence? My residence. I used my legal keys to enter property I own. You assaulted her. She attacked me when I discovered evidence of her fraud. I defended myself. You recorded her without permission. Montana is a one-party consent state. The recording was legal. The attorney had nothing. Every attack fell flat. Other victims testified. David Brennan. The woman from Bozeman. The man from Kalispell. All telling the same story. Jennifer's predatory tactics. The systematic theft. The corrupted system. Susan Morales testified about the cover-up. How she'd been destroyed for trying to expose the truth. The jury deliberated for 4 days. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. Just waited. Finally, the call came. Verdict. We filed back into the courtroom. Jennifer sat at the defense table. Face pale. Hands clasped tight. The foreman stood. On the count of wire fraud, guilty. On the count of conspiracy, guilty. On the count of money laundering, guilty. All 12 counts. Guilty. Jennifer's face crumbled. Her attorney touched her shoulder. She shook him off. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. The judge was federal. No local connections. No golf games with Jennifer. He looked at her with cold eyes. Ms. Caldwell, you systematically targeted vulnerable elderly citizens. You exploited your position of trust as HOA president. You corrupted local officials. You destroyed families. And when caught, You weaponize the legal system against your victims. He paused. This court sentences you to 12 years in federal prison. You are ordered to pay $3.2 million in restitution to your victims. Jennifer stood, hands cuffed, marshals on either side. She looked back at the gallery, found me in the crowd. For one last moment, our eyes met. No words, just the weight of everything that had happened. Then they led her away, out of the courtroom, out of my life. Outside, reporters swarmed. I gave a short statement. This was never about revenge. It was about justice. For my grandfather. For every family Jennifer destroyed. For anyone who's ever been told they can't fight the system. David Brennan shook my hand. Tears in his eyes. You did what we couldn't. Thank you. Other victims gathered around. Thanking me. Hugging me. Crying. I felt empty. Not triumphant. Just exhausted. But also something else. Purpose. Because this fight had shown me something. Corruption thrives in silence. Predators count on victims staying quiet. But when one person speaks up, really speaks up, it creates a crack in the armor. And sometimes, that's all it takes. One voice. One stand. One refusal to quit. And the whole corrupt system comes crashing down. 8 months after the trial. Late summer. I'm standing on the deck of the mansion. The renovation is finally complete. I used the restitution money to restore everything. Stripped out Jennifer's expensive furniture. Brought back Grandpa's original aesthetic. Simple. Honest. Real. The mansion isn't a rental property anymore. It's a retreat center. The Morrison House. Named after my grandfather. Free lodging for families fighting property fraud. Legal consultations. Support groups. Resources. Everything Jennifer's victims needed and never got. I'm hosting the first group this weekend. 12 families from across Montana and Idaho. All facing similar situations. HOA corruption. Property theft. Elder abuse. Marcus helps with the legal side. Pro bono. He says it's the most meaningful work he's ever done. Susan runs the support groups. She's rebuilt her life. Her reputation restored. The state issued a formal apology for how she was treated. David Brennan is on the board, helping other families navigate the system. We're building something here. Something that matters. My phone buzzes. News alert. Jennifer's appeal was denied. Her sentence stands. She'll serve at least 10 years before parole eligibility. I don't feel satisfaction. Just closure. She took so much from so many people. But in the end, justice caught up. I walked down to the dock. The lake is perfect. Mountains reflected in crystal clear water. Pine trees swaying in the breeze. This is what Grandpa wanted. Peace. Beauty. Family. Not rental income. Not profit. Just a place where people could heal. I'm making that happen. A car pulls up. The first family arriving for the weekend. A man about my age. His elderly mother. They're fighting an HOA in Billings trying to claim her property. I walk up to greet them. Shake hands. Welcome them. You're safe here, I tell them. And you're not alone. We're going to fight this together. The man's eyes water. Thank you. We've been fighting for 2 years. Everyone told us to give up. Never give up. That's what they count on. But when you stand your ground, when you document everything and refuse to be silent, you'd be surprised how fast the system responds. We head inside. I show them the files, the resources, the network of attorneys and advocates we've built. This is the legacy now. Not a mansion, not money, but a movement. One that started with one inheritance, one confrontation, one refusal to back down. And it's spreading. Since the trial, 3 other states have investigated HOA corruption. 47 families have come forward with similar stories. Federal legislation is being drafted to protect property owners. All because I refused to walk away. All because I fought back. That evening, I sit on the deck with the families. We share stories. Pain. Hope. Strategy. The sun sets over the mountains. Golden light washing across the water. And I think about Grandpa. What he would say if he could see this. I think he'd be proud. Not of the legal victory. Not of the money recovered. But of this. People helping people. Standing together. Refusing to let predators win. Jennifer thought she was untouchable. She thought power and connections made her invincible. She was wrong. Because the most powerful thing in the world isn't money or influence. It's one person who refuses to quit. Who stands up. Who says no more. And when that person speaks, really speaks, others listen. Others join. Others fight. And together, we're unstoppable. The system wants you to believe you're powerless. That you can't fight corruption. That justice is only for the connected. Don't believe it. Stand your ground. Document everything. Tell your story. And never, ever give up. Because your voice matters. Your fight matters. And you deserve justice. If this story moved you, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from. Because these stories need to be heard everywhere. Your comment might be exactly what someone else needs to find the courage to fight back. Let's build a community that refuses to stay silent. Together, we can expose corruption wherever it hides. Your story matters. Your voice matters. And I want to hear from you. Comment now.